shuttle's landing struts hissed against the cracked basalt of Kalis Prime, sending up plumes of iridescent dust that swirled like tiny galaxies in the crimson twilight. Elysia Voss stepped onto the planet's surface, her boots crunching softly as she surveyed the cavern entrance carved into the side of a shattered obsidian cliff. She'd imagined this moment 1,000 times, standing on the threshold of discovery, yet now her heart pounded like a war drum in her chest. Behind her, Lieutenant Rowan Vale adjusted his comlink and checked the readouts on his handheld scanner. "Readings are stable," he called out, his voice calm even as he glanced at her sideways. "Temperature's holding at -14, but those crystal formations up ahead are no ordinary ore. They're resonating with the shard's energy signature." Elysia allowed herself a small, tense smile. Rowan's steady presence had become her anchor ever since they arrived 3 weeks ago. Together, they'd navigated corporate red tape, hostile storms and rival prospectors to reach this isolated outcrop. But nothing, not even the blinding lightning storms that raged across Kalis Prime's upper atmosphere, had prepared her for what lay hidden in these depths. She activated her helmet's night vision filter and led the way into the cavern's yawning maw. The walls glimmered with veins of luminescent crystal, their facets refracting her helmet lights into dazzling fractals. Each footstep echoed, a lonely drumbeat in the subterranean cathedral. Somewhere farther in, a distant roar hinted at geothermal vents, but around them all was still. "Almost there," Elysia murmured. She tapped a sequence into her wrist console and the crystals ahead shifted, parting to reveal a smaller chamber sealed by an ancient glyphic lock. The glyphs, elongated loops and darting crescents, matched those she'd painstakingly translated from the codex she'd recovered on the Carillion trade station. Folding her gloved hands around the antiquated translator, she whispered the incantation, a string of guttural phonemes that vibrated against the rock. The glyphs glowed before her eyes, then sank inward like molten metal, unlocking the stone door. A metallic click resonated, and the chamber beyond swung open on unseen hinges. Rowan's breath caught. "Good work," he said softly, stepping past her to inspect the inner vault. There, on a raised dais carved from the planet's black marble bedrock, floated the shard of Valora. It was smaller than he'd expected, just 6 inches at its widest, but its surface shimmered with 1,000 prismatic hues, as if a universe swirled within its depths. Elysia's breath stuck in her throat. "It's more beautiful than any legend described." He nodded, but his scanner's alarm beeped urgently. "Energy levels spiking. It's alive." She swallowed hard, stepping forward. "That's what I've come to understand. The shard is not merely a relic. It's a catalyst, something that changes the DNA of any living subject exposed to its core resonance." Her voice dropped. "It could grant unimaginable abilities or destroy you entirely." Rowan set the scanner down and crossed to her side. "Are you sure you want to proceed?" His eyes, the color of storm clouds, were serious beneath the helmet's visor. "Once you activate it, there's no going back." Elysia's breath trembled as she levitated the containment field around the shard. "I know." Her gloved fingers hovered inches from the field's control pad. She gazed at Rowan, searching for a flicker of hesitation. Instead, she saw determination and concern. "Promise me," she said, voice low. "Promise that if I change beyond recognition, you won't try to stop the process." He blinked. "You mean, if I take this step, Rowan," she interrupted, "I'll become something utterly inhuman. My body, my mind, everything will be irrevocably transformed. I won't be Elysia anymore, and whoever or whatever I become, it may kill anyone who looks upon me." She drew a shaky breath. "No one survives seeing my final form. A sulphurous gust rattled through the cavern as though the planet itself were warning them to turn back. Rowan reached out, placing a hand over hers. The warm clasp was grounding, but his grip tightened as he held her gaze. "Then I'll die, seeing you as you are," he said simply. Alicia closed her eyes, tears pooling at the rims. She had trained for decades, poured every ounce of her being into archaeology and xenobiology, chasing whispers of power hidden among the stars. But standing here now, she realized the true cost. "Rowan, if I succeed, you'll lose me. And if you fail," he countered, "you might destroy us all. But I trust you." His voice broke on the last word, raw with emotion. They stood, in silence, the shard's light pulsing between them like a heartbeat. Alicia knew the moment had come. She activated the final sequence on her wrist console. A humming resonance filled the chamber, and the containment field around the shard began to glow, threads of pure energy weaving through the air. Rowan steadied himself as the ground trembled. "Come back to me," he whispered. "Promise me, you'll come back?" She offered a strained smile, her silhouette bathed in prismatic light. "I promise," she said, though uncertainty lurked behind her words. With one last look at Rowan's face, etched with hope and love, she pressed the activation pad. A shockwave of light burst forth, and the chamber was consumed in radiant brilliance. The world as they knew it was. The afterimage of blinding light still danced behind Alicia's closed eyelids when Rowan hauled her into the shuttle's depressurized airlock. The cavern door sealed with a pneumatic hiss, cutting them off from the crystal-lit tomb below. Every step she took was unsteady, each breath a ragged negotiation between her human lungs and something entirely new struggling to claim dominance. Rowan's hands moved swiftly, peeling away her sealed gloves and helmet. His eyes were wide with equal parts awe and fear as he met her gaze. "Ellie, are you all right?" His voice quavered. The monitors tracked chaotic spikes in her biometrics. She tried to answer but found her voice stuttering, splintered by the chorus of unfamiliar synapses firing in her skull. "Hold!" She pressed a trembling hand to her throat. Instead of the tight rush of air she expected, there was an uncanny calm. Her chest rose and fell with a steady grace that felt at once alien and inexorable. Rowan frowned. "Your vitals are off the charts. Oxygen saturation is perfect, heart rate calm. You should be delirious, but your readings are the opposite of what they should be." He consulting the shuttle's medical interface. "I'm seeing neural reconfiguration in progress. Emergency protocols can't interpret half of it." Alicia managed a shaky laugh. Her voice had shifted, resonating on a lower, richer frequency, as though the shard had rewoven her vocal cords. "I'm not me anymore." The words came easily, but each syllable felt like a stone dropped from a great height. The shard, it's rewriting every cell. A cold shudder rippled through her limbs. Under her skin, nerve endings conducted prismatic pulses of bioluminescence, blood painted in neon rivulets. Her reflection in the polished canopy above looked back at her with eyes rimmed in violet luminescence, pupils narrow slits of pure obsidian. Rowan's face ghosted across the glass, alarm etched in every line. He rushed to her side. "Alicia, look at me." He grasped her hands, flesh to flesh, the warmth grounding her storm of transformation. "Can you hear me?" Her senses surged. She could track the thrumming of the shuttle's engines as though they were her own heart, detect the faint electrical hum of the control panel, even sense the metallic tang of recycled air. Pain and power danced together, in her veins an intoxicating duet of creation and destruction. "I hear you," she whispered, voice resonating with a deep undertone that vibrated against his palms. but I feel everything. Too much. She closed her eyes, trying to still the kaleidoscope of new sensations. Rowan, it hurts, and it's wonderful. He swallowed, gaze locked on her shifting form. Her once rigid exosuit seams melted into living armor of fine, crystalline lattice that traced across her shoulders and down her arms. Her fingertips glowed faintly, fingertips that now ended in sleek, curved talons of luminous cerulean. The shard said it was dangerous, but it didn't explain this. Her head tilted, hair no longer strands of copper but a flowing halo of radiant filaments that drifted as though weightless, reacting to her thoughts. Each filament ended in a droplet of light that pulsed gently, like stars suspended inches above her scalp. She brushed them away, fascinated. It's not malevolent, it's alive. It's evolving me. The shuttle jolted. Rowan slammed a hand to secure the medical console. The containment field is down to 50%. If it fails entirely, the shard's resonance could overload the shuttle systems. Alicia's new senses tuned into the core of the vessel. The shielding was straining under the residual energy coursing through her. She realized that every beat of her newly forged heart fed power back into the ship's grid. I can stabilize it, she said, lifting her hands to the conduit panel. Electric arcs danced from her fingertips as she laid them on the circuitry. In response, the console's warning lights dimmed, systems humming back to normal. Rowan staggered backward in shock. You just rewrote the programming with your mind. A smile ghosted over her transformed lips. Unfamiliar, but genuine. I think I can control it. Power bloomed beneath her skin, a living network of neural energy pathways extending out to the ship's hardware. She felt symbiotic with the shuttle itself, the engines like limbs, the hull like a protective shell. But at what cost? Rowan's voice cracked. You were my friend, my partner. Now, you're something else. She turned toward him, the pull of old memories flashing through her mind. Moments in the lab, laughter shared in zero-G corridors, the quiet comfort of his steady presence. Even as her consciousness expanded to embrace new cosmic awareness, those memories anchored her. I'm still me, she insisted, though her face now held contours sharper, more angular, and her eyes glowed with starlight. Nothing's changed in my heart. Rowan took a tentative step forward. Then let me help you. We'll figure this out together. She reached out, gently touching his jawline. The contact sparked a wave of warmth through both of them, her living aura weaving around him in protective filaments of light. Stay close, she whispered. This awakening is far from over. Below them, the sealed cavern waited. Deep, within the obsidian fissures, the shard's fractured remnants pulsed like a heartbeat, a promise that the most profound changes were yet to come. Alicia inhaled, feeling the last of her human fears slip away as something greater rose to take its place. She looked to Rowan, determination blazing in her luminescent eyes. We go back in, she said, voice resonant with certainty. I need to complete the transformation, fully understand what I've become. He nodded, resolve hardening his features. Together. As the shuttle's ramp descended once more into the crystalline darkness, Alicia Voss stepped forward, no longer merely the xenobiologist who had unearthed the shard, but its living successor, poised on the cusp of transcending every limit she had ever known. And Rowan Vale, heart pounding, followed her into the unknown, ready to see her final form, or to die trying. The shuttle's ramp retracted with a pneumatic hiss, sealing Alicia and Rowan off from the glittering cavern mouth. Inside, the crystalline walls pulsed with residual energy, fractured echoes of the shard's final resonance. Elysia stood at the threshold, her living armor faintly shimmering. Rowan lingered behind her, breathing steadily. "Are you sure?" he asked, voice low. "We should consider retreat. Analyzing this in the lab might be safer." Elysia shook her head. Every fiber of her new being ached to finish what she'd begun. "The shard shattered when I stabilized the shuttle. Its power dispersed through the rock, but I can feel its heart beating still, calling to me deeper in." Her taloned fingertips brushed against the wall, filaments of light tracing along the crystal veins like tendrils seeking a source. "I need to integrate every fragment. Only then will I understand the full extent of what I've become." Rowan studied her. In the glare of her bioluminescent eyes, he saw both the woman he'd loved and something far beyond. "I won't leave you," he said, stepping up to her side. "But if we push further, if you cross whatever limit is left, I don't know if I can pull you back." Elysia offered him a steadying smile. "Then hold me," she whispered, "so I don't fall." They descended into the cavern's depths. The air grew warmer, heavy with the hum of latent energy. Jagged stalactites dripped molten mineral. Luminous fungi clung to the walls in phosphorescent blooms. Elysia's enhanced senses catalogued every scent and vibration, her mind weaving them into a tapestry of data. Rowan followed, scanning with his handheld device, but he fell silent as the true scale of the cavern revealed itself. At its heart lay a vast river of living crystal, an iridescent stream that pulsed with each throb of the planet's core. Embedded within the riverbed were countless shattered shards, each fragment radiating the same prismatic glow as the relic they'd recovered. The river divided, winding through vaulted chambers like the lifeblood of the world. Elysia approached the edge, eyes reflecting the shifting hues. This river was the shard's vessel, she breathed. Long ago its creators infused the planet with its power, weaving it into the very bedrock. They intended it to be a source, possibly to seed entire ecosystems, or weapons. She glanced back at Rowan. "I must become the living key. I must absorb these fragments so the shard's cycle can complete, and so I can control its power for good." Rowan swallowed hard. "Elysia, the risk." She placed a hand on his chest, warmth blooming through her crystalline armor. "My choice," she said. "Stay close." Stepping onto the riverbank, Elysia extended both hands. A low hum rose in the chamber as her living aura resonated with the crystal current. Filaments of cerulean light reached out from her palms, weaving through the fragments. One by one, the shards lifted from the riverbed, orbiting around her in a slow, luminous dance. Rowan watched in awe and dread as the shards converged, drawn inexorably toward Elysia's chest. Each fragment fused into her living armor with an audible tink, expanding her form and intensifying her glow. The cavern trembled. Rock dust cascaded from the ceiling. "Elysia!" Rowan shouted, rushing forward, but a wave of kinetic energy threw him against the wall. He smashed into the crystalline surface, pain erupting through his ribs. Stars danced behind his eyelids as the shards spiraled inward. Through the haze, he saw Elysia's form balloon, her silhouette flickering between human shape and a towering construct of living crystal and starlight. Her voice, part human, part cosmic, filled the chamber. "I am the vessel. I am the keeper of this power." Each word reverberated, warping the cavern's geometry. The final shard, the largest and brightest, hovered before her heart. Elysia's arms opened and Rowan realized what she intended. "Elysia, no!" he screamed, clawing to his feet, but the shards flared, a blistering light that blinded him. Pain seared across his vision as the energy wave crashed over him. He felt his bones warp, his flesh ripple with heat and force. Yet beneath the agony lay a strange serenity, the shard's power attempting to rewrite him as well. His mind split between terror and transcendence. In that moment, Elysia's form expanded into pure light, flooding the chamber with radiance so profound it seemed the stars themselves had descended. Rowan's last thought before darkness claimed him was of her voice echoing in his soul. "To protect you, I become the storm." Silence followed, a gulf of emptiness. Dust settled on the cracked basalt floor. The crystal river stilled, its glowing tide halted by the sacrifice. And in the heart of the cavern, where once two souls had stood, nothing stirred but the faintest whisper of power, waiting light. Elysia awoke to a brilliance so pure it seared across her expanded senses. A radiance not of the shuttle's lamps nor the cavern's crystals, but of her own reborn essence. She floated in a void of prismatic clarity, every thought humming, like a living star. For a heartbeat, she feared Rowan was lost forever, his sacrifice consumed by the power she had unleashed. Then she felt him. It began as a tremor deep within her mind, a familiar cadence buried beneath the roar of cosmic revelation. She closed her eyes, if such a thing were still possible for her new form, and reached inward. There, wrapped in filaments of light, was the essence of Rowan Vale. Fractured, battered, yet unmistakably him. "Rowan," she breathed. No longer a simple vocalization, but a symphony of thought resonating through the quantum weave of her being. His response was a flicker of warmth. "Elysia?" The echo of his consciousness trembled, fragile as a dying star. "Hold on," she sent, guiding her luminous tendrils toward the ember of his mind. "I will not let you fade." As she poured her awareness into the void pushed back, a tidal wave of raw potential threatening to drown them both. Yet Rowan's presence lent her anchor. Memories rose between them, shared laughter in the hydroponic gardens, the electric thrill of scientific discovery, the quiet moments of trust in a universe that offered none. Each memory glowed like a beacon, illuminating the path back to him. "You promised you'd see me as I am." Rowan's voice whispered, tinged with awe and fear. "And I will," she replied, channeling every fragment of her newfound power to cradle his essence. "But first I must reshape the storm." Elysia's cosmic form pulsed, the living armor of crystal and starlight reforming around the void where energy threatened to unravel. She wove her aura into a cocoon, an iridescent chrysalis that absorbed the surging power, tempering its ferocity. The untamed energies of the shard, once scattered through Kalis Prime's crystalline river, now coalesced under her command, a symphony brought into harmony by her will. Inside the cocoon, Rowan's consciousness solidified. The pain of dissolution gave way to clarity. He saw her, not the scientist in a spacesuit, but the embodiment of a cosmos reborn, an avatar of creation itself. Still in her luminous eyes he recognized the compassion that had always defined her. "Elysia, you've become a bridge," she finished, her thoughts a caress, "between what was and what can be." She extended a strand of quantum light toward his core, anchoring his spark within her own. "Stay with me." He drifted closer, his essence folding into hers like a twin star merging into a nova. The cocoon shuddered as their consciousnesses intertwined, merging logic with feeling, memory with possibility. A torrent of sensations flooded Rowan, the birth of galaxies, the dance of photons through the vacuum, the silent symphony of atomic bonds. And beneath it all, Elysia's heartbeat, steady, warm, human. When the light finally dimmed, they emerged from the void, not as two souls bound by proximity, but as one entity, a singular life form born of sacrifice and love. Their new shape hovered in the cavern's center, an ethereal silhouette whose contours shimmered with shifting hues, crystalline wings unfurled like nebular sails, and eyes alight with infinite knowledge tempered by human emotion. Above them, the cavern ceiling, fractured by their power, glowed with revived crystal veins resonating in tandem with their presence. The river of living crystal below pulsed again, its flow restored and guided by the unified being at its heart. Elysia and Rowan spoke as one. "We endure." Their voice rippled through the chamber, a chord of power that calmed the trembling stone. "We forgive. We protect." A cascade of light spilled down the cavern walls, sealing fissures, reinforcing the structure with living crystal. The planet itself seemed to breathe with relief, as if recognizing its new guardian. And in that moment, the being born of human love and cosmic force knew its purpose: to shepherd the latent power of the shard, to heal what had been broken, and to bridge the gap between humanity's fragile hopes and the boundless promise of the stars. Rowan's essence nestled against Elysia's, warmth against warmth. "We did it," he thought, a smile echoing through their unified mind. "Yes," she replied, her joy a gentle pulse. "Together." And as they turned their gaze toward the cavern's distant exit, they carried within them the knowledge that no sacrifice is ever in vain, and that true transformation can only arise from the embrace. A pale dawn crept into the cavern, not through any natural opening, but born of the unified being's own radiance. Where the crystalline river had once run fractured and dim, it now glowed with steady luminance, its currents guided by the entity at its source. Elysia and Rowan, now one, floated above the river bank, their combined consciousness attuned to every pulse of planet and molecule alike. Below, the shuttle's salvage drones touched down, their scanners humming as they surveyed the transformed chamber. Captain Zara's voice crackled through their shared mind. "Status report. What have you become?" "Everything and nothing," they replied in unison, and the words resonated like ripples across the crystalline walls. Stepping forward, the being raised a single hand. The drone's sensors realigned, their data streams recalibrating to register, a form beyond purely organic or synthetic. The captain exhaled. We read, "Life signatures, amplified, energy patterns stable. You fused a new life," they finished, their voice gentle yet immense. "We are the culmination of sacrifice and promise." Outside, the storm clouds that had perpetually roiled Kalis Prime's upper atmosphere began to part. Lightning forks yielded to dawn's soft amber, and the sky, once an endless cascade of crimson and shadow, shifted to a serene violet blue. Far above, orbital satellites detected a sudden stabilization of seismic activity across the planet. The world itself was healing. The being turned toward the scouts who'd followed the initial transmission. A team of xenobiologists, engineers, and diplomats now pausing at the cavern entrance. Fear flickered in their eyes, but awe held them, steady. Elysia, Rowan, floated downward, crystalline wings unfurling like sunrise on the horizon. Survivors, they projected into the minds of the newcomers. Stand unafraid. Heart steadied. The lead xenobiologist, Dr. Marisol Cheng, stepped forward and offered a small nod. "Thank you," she transmitted. We witnessed the transformation, the sacrifice. We are honored to record your existence." The Beings' laughter rippled through the cavern, a sound like chimes in the cosmic wind. Record, they mused, but understand that our purpose is alive, not archived. We are here to guide, to protect, and to connect. With that, a gentle wave of prismatic energy radiated outward. Where it passed, broken crystal reformed, fissures sealed, and machinery stabilized. The shuttle and its supports gleamed anew, as if cleansed by starlight. The devastation wrought by the shard's release subsided, replaced by a living harmony. Captain, Zara's voice quivered with wonder. You saved us all, from destruction and from doubt. We merely fulfilled what was written, the being intoned. The shard's power was never meant to destroy but to transcend. Drawing herself into a tall, elegant silhouette, Elysia's visage flickered into view, her features both familiar and luminous. Rowan's warmth glowed beneath the crystalline veneer. We will remain a steward, they declared, until Kalis Prime's wounds have fully mended, and until the galaxy learns that true evolution springs from unity, sacrifice, and love. A hush settled. Then Dr. Chung raised her scanner. May we come closer? Yes, the being replied. Together, let us shape the new dawn. As the assembled team advanced, the unified entity guided them through the cavern to the river's edge. There, they showed how to channel the crystal's energy to regenerate failing ecosystems and purify polluted aquifers. They shared visions of star systems where potential had been unleashed, urging the expedition to carry these lessons across the stars. Outside, on the shuttle's ramp, the first direct beam of sunlight pierced the violet sky. Kalis Prime's new dawn had begun, not just in the heavens but within every heart that gazed upon the horizon. And high above, drifting between world and cosmos, Elysia and Rowan lived on, neither wholly human nor merely cosmic force, but an eternal testament to the truth that no one needs to survive alone. In the embrace of their final form, they had found not a